Hello everybody. So today we are furthering with our review. So today is lesson 57. And so to read today, the first lesson, number 31, is I'm not a victim of the world I see. How can I be the victim of a world that can be completely undone if I so choose? My chains are loosened. I can drop them off merely by desiring to do so. The prison door is open. I can leave it simply by walking out. Nothing holds me in this world. Only my wish to stay keeps me a prisoner. I would give up insane wishes and walk into the sunlight at last. Wow. So Jesus is giving us the imagery here of being a prisoner in a jail cell. And that when we're holding on to our past thoughts, they are the chains that have kept us locked in the prison of our own mind. And so today we are recognizing that I am not a victim of the world I see. And at any time I choose, I can walk out that door, for there are no chains on it that are placed there by God. But when we walk through it because we chose to see past it, is when we reach to the sunlight, the truth, the light of ourselves, and we are free. So Jesus is reminding us here that we are free. We are not a victim of the world we see, and we can choose otherwise today. 32. I have invented the world I see. I made up the prison in which I see myself. All I need do is recognize this, and I am free. I have deluded myself into believing it is possible to imprison the Son of God. I was bitterly mistaken in this belief, which I no longer want. The Son of God must be forever free. He is as God created him, and not what I would make of him. He is where God would have him be, and not where I thought to hold him prisoner. This is power. I remember first reading this in when I read it before, and how potent it was for me. For we are getting to see the truth that salvation is I have done this unto myself. When we admit that we are the ones who made the prison around our own self, then it is that same choice within to choose to see ourselves differently. To choose to see ourselves as the forever innocent Son of God. That we have never done anything wrong that would deserve being in this prison, so we can let go of our ideas of thinking that this is where we are. For currently at this time, if you look out into this world through the physical eyes of the body, we see a hell, we see a prison. And if we see a hell and we see a prison out in this world, you better believe we're only seeing our internal thoughts about ourselves projected outward. And then by recognizing that I have done this unto myself, it is me who chooses to see the world as it is right now, and it is me who chooses my experience right now. Therefore, I choose to see the kingdom of God here instead of my own misperceptions about it. And when we recognize I have invented the world I see, is when our power is restored to us because we can choose to see differently. Beautiful. So 33. There is another way of looking at the world. Since the purpose of the world is not the one I ascribe to it, there must be another way of looking at it. I see everything upside down, and my thoughts are the opposite of truth. I see the world as a prison for God's Son. It must be, then, that the world is really a place where he can be set free. I would look upon the world as it is, and see it as a place where the Son of God finds his freedom. Beautiful. So this is almost like a reinstatement of our new purpose. That my purpose is to look upon the world as it is instead of how I think that it is. I am to look upon the world through the eyes of the Son of God instead of looking at the world through the eyes of the body. And once we change this way of looking at the world, we see another world there, and that it is that world that we accept for ourselves. And this new world that we accept for ourselves is the kingdom of heaven. And so we are letting ourselves see that heaven is here, and that earth is a place to set us free, not keep us in bondage. For in eternity we are already free, so we don't need to be set free. But here in this world, we seemingly do have to be set free because we perceive it as a jail, as a hellhole, as, run by governments and higher powers other than ourselves, craziness. We don't need to see that anymore. See it differently. So to continue, 34, I could see peace instead of this. I love this lesson. I could see peace instead of this. When I see the world as a place of freedom, I will realize that it reflects the laws of God instead of the rules which I made up for it to obey. I will understand that peace, not war, abolishes it. And I will perceive that peace also abides in the hearts of all who share this place with me. So all of us who know we reside in this place of peace and not war will share it and experience it together. And then we are the ones who can share it and spread the word to all the rest of the world. For currently, as this time as we're seeing it, is a jail cell. It is a war-infested, crazy madhouse. And so because it is a war-infested, crazy madhouse, we have to take our own thoughts off of it so we can see it as God sees it instead of as man sees it. So now we're letting the laws of God trump the laws of this world. Because they do. And then the last one, 35. My mind is part of God's. I am very holy. As I share the peace of the world with my brothers, I begin to understand that this peace comes from deep within myself. That's the golden law. As I give it, I receive it. To have peace, teach peace to learn it. The world I look upon has taken on the light of my forgiveness and shines forgiveness back at me. In this light, I begin to see what my illusions about myself had kept hidden. I begin to understand the holiness of all living things, including myself, and their oneness with me. In the forgiven perception, does it extend out into our world and show us a forgiven world? So we are to look for it. Instead of looking at this war, look at the peace. Instead of seeing the crazy hellhole insanity, see the truth, see the freedom. So we are letting our minds be healed today by asking to see something in place of what we saw before. So to recap on the lesson 57, it is, I am not the victim of the world I see. I have invented the world I see. There is another way of looking at the world. I could see peace instead of this. My mind is part of God's. I am very holy. So what I would almost suggest as the day is going forward, because this is what Jesus suggested at the beginning of the info, but I'm just repeating it, as we go throughout the day, to let any single one of these thoughts that pertain to an experience that we're having to be applied. So that if we're feeling any form of distress, let the thought of the day, any one of the 5, be your mantra, be your constant application so that you can and will yourself to see it differently. And to also, I like to go through them from beginning to end and almost repeat each thought a few times until I literally begin to feel this unraveling, this new illumination take place from the inside out. So really be practical today with today's lessons and let yourself have an experience of new vision, for I must say I will be doing the same thing. So on that note, I love you all and have a beautiful, blessed day. Bye.